She puts the wow, yum into words. It's the Lafayette food junkie herself on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany Decou. Here we talk about all the food happenings around Acadiana. If you like food, tune in. You might learn something new. Welcome back, guys. Graduation weekend this weekend and next weekend. Pretty decent weather. Not too hot yet before it gets into the sweltering summer months. Joining me in studio tonight as guest co-host is Executive Chef Paul Krato with Pour Bistro and Bar. Thank you for joining us tonight, Paul.
What's up, guys?
He brought me this lovely charcuterie board that we're going to talk about a little later in the show. I was excited about it all day, and I've
makeshift.
We did. We basically ripped open the box that he brought it in to make a makeshift board. Maybe we should keep a board in here.
I mean, it couldn't hurt. I mean, they're easy to clean. They don't take up that much space. They'd make a good paperweight, I guess.
Right.
Just have like a little baby board.
I should also just keep glasses for wine too.
I feel like y'all should have like an on hands like wine cooler here. I mean, radio hosts, I feel like you need wine or beer or something.
Everyone at KPEL would really appreciate that.
I'm sure we can get like a Kickstarter for that or something.
Let's start the campaign. You were so excited too to bring the charcuterie board in, and you were like, "Man, I almost stopped to get wine." Which
I know, right?
Everyone knows me, and they know I like to drink, and I'm not drinking right now. But after eating on this board, I really want a glass of red wine to go with it.
I would totally go get wine as soon as you leave here. You kind of need it with that. I mean,
God, I feel like that's what it's missing. I'm just like, I need a cab to go with this. This would just like top it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I am having a pretty depressing life right now, and that I'm in the gym every day, and I'm kind of still recovering from festival.
Right.
Festival, it kind of hit me in this past year because I've been working nonstop. I've been eating all the foods.
So all that running around, you're just
all
like
the drinks. Right. So for the month of May, I kind of decided I'm not going to drink alcohol. I'm going to cut back on my caffeine. I'm trying to do low carb as much as possible, trying to get some vegetarian meals in there. And I noticed like I'm feeling better. Like I'm sleeping better. I'm feeling better. I'm not as anxious.
I'd probably feel better if I did that, but I also feel like I would die.
Yeah, it's kind of makes me sad. Like I'm not as excited about, like I'll look at food and I'll just be like, no, I really want that.
I love bread. I eat bread as much as possible. I drink an insane amount of coffee in the morning. If I had to give those two up, I would probably shoot myself.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's the alcohol or the caffeine, but I have noticed a difference in my sleeping pattern. Like I sleep a lot sounder now. And I went to a whiskey dinner a week before last at Charlie G. So I drank then. There's a rosé wine dinner that's coming up. Mm-hmm. So I mean, as a food writer, you have to be able to eat and drink. I'm just trying to be more cautious of what I'm eating when I'm not going to events or covering a restaurant or something like that.
I won't say like everything's good, but everything is okay in moderation.
Right. And we'll actually talk about that a little later in the show too, with one of the topics that we were talking about before the show. But I don't know. I was thinking that I was just going to do this for the month of May, but I think I may continue doing this. At least the gym. I gotta have wine though. I need wine back in my diet.
Wine is better for you than most other things that people drink. I mean, it's
right.
I guarantee it's better for you in a sense than like soda. Yeah, but you don't drink whiskey every day. You know what I'm saying? Like you can save your whiskey for like those occasional nights, and like a glass of wine a night is not a bad thing.
Right.
It's kind of good. It's good to relax.
And a glass of wine actually helps me relax and helps me sleep too. So maybe it's the coffee. Maybe it's the coffee every day.
The coffee, I mean, caffeine affects everyone differently. And I mean, obviously the more you drink, the more you get used to it. But I'm sure cutting back on any type of an upper would definitely help you sleep a little bit better, harder, and, with less interruptions throughout the night.
So being on this low carb kick, I made a low carb mac and cheese last night. Target has started carrying this brand of pasta called Bonsai. It's Banza. and it's made from chickpeas. It's made from chickpea flour. And then it's funny because when I discovered it, I saw an article that like chickpea flour is going to be the next big trend, but it's an ancient grain. It's ancient.
I've never really messed with chickpea flour, but chickpeas by themselves
are awesome. I mean,
yeah,
hummus,
I mean, all day long, hummus, fried chickpeas, I eat that stuff like candy.
So this is the kind of the nutritional difference between the chickpea pasta and the average pasta. I brought the box in studio so I could have this.
It's a cute little orange box.
Yeah, it's a little orange box. So the chickpea pasta has 25 grams of protein, 13 grams of fiber, and 43 grams net carbs. That's still a lot of carbs, but when you compare it to the 71 carbs that regular pasta has, the only 3 grams of fiber and then 13 grams of protein.
And generally when you eat pasta, you're not eating a large amount of pasta.
Right.
I mean, you wouldn't be able to have anything else. You would get so full.
Super high fat pasta.
Right.
Too,
so I mean,
made.
And you're not going to be eating that all day. So, I mean, like one little meal with a little bit of that pasta with all the other fixings would be totally ideal for any type of diet.
It's also supposed to be a good pasta for people with a gluten intolerance because a lot of people who have gluten allergies.
Yeah, they can't have most pastas unless it's like a gluten-free.
The gluten-free pasta that they make kind of has this weird texture. I didn't find that this had a weird texture. I found like I've had whole wheat pasta before. I felt like it had more of a weird texture than this did.
Yeah.
It was nice and al dente. I felt like it didn't cook as long as normal pasta needed to. And I was kind of monitoring that.
It didn't come out gummy or anything. That's good.
It was not gummy at all. Like it was really good. So someone asked for my recipe for the mac and cheese, and I basically told them that I didn't have a recipe. I kind of just threw things together.
That's how it all starts.
From what I found on the internet. So the base, the roux, instead of like having a flour base for the cheese sauce, it's cream cheese and whipping cream. And you kind of melt the cream cheese and add the whipping cream to, you want it to be kind of liquidy because it's going to, need to get the cheese. And then from there, I added, just shredded cheese.
Right.
Now, I am a cheese lover, so I added a lot of cheese, and I told the person to probably put to their liking.
Yeah, well, it's mac and cheese. If you're eating mac and cheese, you like cheese.
Right.
No one's going to eat mac and cheese who doesn't want cheese.
So
if I eat mac and cheese, I want it like smothered in cheese, cheese toasted on top, and maybe some cheese on the side if I get crazy and have some bread. I don't know.
So I would say that probably you could have gotten away with 1 cup of cheese. I did 2 cups. And then I also want to say that to the roux base, I did dry mustard, cayenne pepper, and paprika with Tony's to taste too, to kind of give it. I like my mac and cheese to have like a little bit of a spice to it.
Yeah. I like I really like
Paul's making faces at me with my mac and cheese recipe. I feel like he doesn't approve.
Okay. The only thing I don't approve of is Tony's, but I'm not saying Tony's is bad, but it's just not my thing.
Tony's is like my salt blend.
Well, yeah, and I mean, like everyone loves Tony's. I mean, it wouldn't be the empire it is if people didn't like it. It's just I don't know. I don't really have like any spice blends at my house like that. I kind of experiment with. I just have 1,000 different single types of spices, and I just kind of throw them all together.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what I did. I mixed it up. So you mix it together until it's all blended. I added the pasta, mixed it all together, put it in a baking dish, topped it with more cheese. I cooked it at 350 for 15 minutes just because everything was hot already, just to kind of get everything to mingle a bit. And then I popped it under the broiler for like 2 minutes just to kind of get the bubbliness.
Did you do it in like a Pyrex or like cast iron or anything like that?
It was Pyrex. Yeah, I did it in Pyrex.
Pyrex is good.
Yeah, and it was delicious. Like it came out way better than I was expecting it to come out. So this is a good low carb mac and cheese recipe.
It's like when I saw you on Facebook earlier talking about your cauliflower pizza.
Yes. Let's go to break, and then we'll talk about the cauliflower crust pizza, because that's my next thing that I'm going to experiment with, and we'll talk about that recipe when we come back. So come back to us. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
And now, the Lafayette Food Junkie Show, served up medium rare every Sunday night.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany Decou, and joining as guest co-host tonight is Executive Chef Paul Krato with Pour Wine Bistro and Bar. We were talking about my low-carb mac and cheese before the break, and I think the next thing that I'm going to attempt is the cauliflower crusted pizza, and Paul was telling me that he has a really good recipe for that.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to give that to you later on tonight. I made a cauliflower pizza.
You did it for Rouse's cooking class, right?
Cooking class. It was like 1 or 2 years ago, something like that. And the girl that was doing it at the time, she asked me if I can do some sort of a low carb pizza for just whoever. And I was like, yeah, I can do something like that. So I started messing around, and I didn't know how I felt about it at first because I love bread, and I'm not about fake bread,
Right.
So I started messing around with it, and you boil your cauliflower, you pulse it first, you boil it real quick, and you strain it all out, and you kind of use the cauliflower to make your dough, so you have to squeeze it really, really tight and get all the water out, and you're just left with just dry, pulverized morsels of cauliflower, and you start making your dough like you normally would, and it feels weird and wet, and you can't treat it like normal dough. You're not going to roll it out. You kind of got to mash it.
No throwing it in the air, right?
Yeah, you can't toss. You can't beat it with a rolling pin. You can't, drape it over someone's head just to play a game. But it seemed weird, and I just didn't know how it was going to work out until I finished the pizza. And then I put it in the oven, and there's all kinds of cheese that go into the crust, so it locks it all in once it cooks.
Right.
And it's not going to be super crunchy, if you're a fan of Pizza Village or
right.
Dino's. It's not going to be that kind of a crust. It's going to be a soft crust, but it's full of flavor. It's wonderful. I was stunned by how good it tasted.
I've done a pizza before with almond flour and cheese, and it was really good. And then we found a recipe one time that was pork rinds. You did the dough with pork rinds.
Yeah, little crackling crust dough.
Yeah, so it probably has the same consistency as the kibbe crusted pizza at La Pizzeria. That's their low carb pizza.
I've never eaten at La Pizzeria.
It's probably on the idea of that, I would think. But yeah, I love when I do low carb, and it makes me think outside the box and try to come up with different twists on recipes.
When you think of low carb foods or diet foods or your more healthy-esque foods, the first thing that people think about is this is going to taste horrible. So you got to start thinking outside the box and get a little creative to make it taste better rather than just doing your average salad, grilled fish. If you want something that you would normally eat, a burger or something, and you can start thinking outside the box, and you can start testing new things and kind of just get shocked by how good vegetables are just by themselves. Right. Or I won't say a bread substitute, but something that is slightly different. Prime example, patacone. That sandwich at that place is the best thing in the world, and they don't use bread. They use fried plantains.
Right.
And that's something when I first saw it, and I got Honduran friends, and they talk about it it's the best thing in the world, and I was like, but where's the bread?
Right.
I'm used to tortillas and all this other stuff, and he was like, dude, just try it. So I did, and I wanted to cry because it was wonderful.
Yeah.
That place is great.
I
could literally throw a baseball from my house at that place, so I'm there all the time.
Yeah, I haven't been in a while. They're not open on Sundays anymore, and so
it's just not fair.
It's hard for me. It's hard for me to get over there. My craving this week was burgers, and we were talking about America's favorite comfort food is pizza, but you were saying yours is burgers, and yes. I would have to agree that mine's probably a burger too. Burger is your comfort food.
Yeah, and I don't know, maybe when I eat Manny's Neapolitan pizza, that might change my life.
Oh, what? You haven't had the pizza yet?
I have not. I tried.
Oh.
I live at work, so
yeah.
Anything short of me sending a mule over there to go score me some pizza.
I'll tell you off air what you can do.
Awesome.
Because I'll hook you up.
Yeah, but
we'll get you this pizza.
I love pizza. Don't get me wrong. I was a Ninja Turtles kid, so pizza was everything, and it always had no anchovies on it, even though I like anchovies now. But still, 9 times out of 10, I'll choose a burger over pizza. If I was stuck somewhere, on an island, and I could only have one food, it would be a burger, any kind. Like, even if it was like a fish burger, whatever, I don't care. But
Right.
they're basically the same thing in a sense. I mean, there's a million different ways to make a burger. There's a million different ways to make a pizza. It's a fan favorite. There's really not a bad way to make it unless you burn it.
Right. I agree. There's good and there's bad.
Yeah.
I was in a position this week to be off early on a Thursday and Thursday is Juicy Lucy Day at Bread and
Right.
Circus. You have not had a Juicy Lucy.
I have not had a Juicy Lucy. I've had some burgers from Bread and Circus, but it was always on the burger night. But
The Juicy Lucy is a little different, but they have good burgers.
I understand
They have good
it's a
burgers.
wonderful burger.
Yeah. So if you haven't had the Juicy Lucy, it's only available on Thursdays until their pizza oven comes in. Because when the pizza oven comes in and they change their menu around, you're going to be able to get Juicy Lucy's every day. And it's just a good homemade burger that's stuffed with cheese. And they put it on the Poop Arts bread. It's buttered. They put it on the grill. The bread for a burger, just the crispy outer rim, is
perfectly toasted
so
bread.
good. And then it's flavorful lettuce, flavorful tomatoes, and it has mayo on it. Like, it's a simple but
You say
a
mayo
decadent
like it's a
burger.
bad thing.
No, mayo's awesome. I love mayo.
Mayo's great.
Right. So that's their burger. And if you love cheese, like this is the burger for you. And I dream about this burger. I love I love burgers. I probably like burgers as much as you do. And I was kind of thinking about it because a few months ago I got to try the dark roux burger.
Right.
And you have not had the dark roux burger.
I have not.
So I was kind of thinking about it, and this is really hard for me to say, and it's very, very close. But I feel like I like the dark roux burger better than the Juicy Lucy.
I mean, everyone's gonna have their opinions. I mean, I am still ride or die. Judy said, "Give me the double
I don't like
cheeseburger
the
with
Judy
extra
Sin burger.
sauce and like
And that's
fried
like
egg."
blasphemy.
But the best burger I ever had in my life was not even Louisiana. It was in St. Louis. And what they do out there, they do steamed burgers. You ever heard of that?
Oh yes.
That is like, you need to wear a bib when you eat this burger because
Super
it's gonna
juicy.
like just start gushing juice everywhere. And then the cheese is also steamed, so it's super melty, and it's like when you first get it, it looks like you just kind of just like made a burger patty and browned it in like a skillet, but like barely touched, like just touched it and picked it up, like to where it just got a little gray, no crust on it, no nothing. And you're like, when you see it, you're like, what is this? Then you bite into it, and it's just like the juiciest burger you've ever had in your life. But
man, I want to try that.
it's not for everyone, because it's not what you think of when you think of a burger. Like when you think of a burger, you think it like flame grilled, char grilled, done on a flat top. This is something completely different. It's not going to have that same texture of like a normal grilled burger, but it's just it's so, being out of steam, and it's so juicy, it pretty much melts in your mouth. It's like the Krispy Kreme version of a burger, I guess, because it just kind of disintegrates.
The dark roux burger is super juicy. I think they put the short rib au juice on it.
Yeah.
And then Chef Ryan Trahan makes his own buns, and I got to taste just the buns one time, and they're really good. The Poop Arts buns that Bread and Circus, good, but
yeah,
the bun is slightly better, and I think that might be why I capped them slightly higher.
A good bun is like very important. I mean, at my restaurant, we use Poop Arts buns.
That's a good bun.
I mean,
it's an amazing
it's a good bun, but don't get me wrong.
These are both great burgers.
I've had like better bread from like other places, or like better
Mm-hmm.
buns, and it all depends on like what they do. I mean, Poop Arts is a machine. They've been around forever. They're gonna do the same thing over and over again because that's what people like, and it sells, it works, it's good. So why change it? In Ryan's case at Dark Roux, they can do whatever they want.
Right.
They can put whatever they want in their bread, make it the way that they want, regardless of
If
how
y'all
people
have
feel
not-
about it, unless they
Yeah.
actually generally don't like it, which is not the case. But
If y'all haven't had the burger there, you need to go check out the burger. It's really
right.
good.
But
I think it's my favorite burger in Lafayette right now.
I'll eventually make it out there.
You need to check it out.
Yeah, one day.
And then surprisingly, so Smash Burger does a black bean burger.
Right.
And I was looking on their website, and I saw that you could get lettuce wraps instead of the bun. So I was like, oh, since I'm doing low carb, that I'll go check it out. They also do veggie frites, so it's like flash fried veggies. They have like half the calories of French fries. They have the same fat content because it's that flash fry, but about a fraction of the carbs that the potatoes have. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go check it out. Got there, they don't have the lettuce wraps at the Lafayette location, but they improvised in that they put the black bean burger on a bed of lettuce for me.
Well, that's cool.
And I got it topped with goat cheese and ranch dressing. The best black bean burger I've ever had. Vegetarian burgers tend to be almost like a science experiment sometimes. Like they just taste so unnatural.
Yeah.
And this actually tasted like black beans.
What's actually, all right, now that you're on this topic, I read an article a while back, and this guy is, he's creating vegetarian meat, like vegan meat. And what he's doing is he's found like a handful of plants that carry the same chemical. I can't remember what it's called, but it's essentially what makes up the taste of meat. It's some sort of chemical that's in the blood, and you can extract it from certain plants. So like this kid takes this stuff, mixes it all up with a bunch of ground like chickpeas, beans, and all kinds of other like soybeans, and
to give it like a meat
all
flavor.
Kinds of stuff. And he introduces this chemical to it, and when it's done and it sits and like it molds and like you cook it, the veggie burger's red. It slices like meat and it bleeds.
Weird.
And he's trying to get like this little, trying to get funding to start like doing more and more of it. And like, well, all right, look, I will never be a vegetarian unless like the doctor tells me, and I'm still going to cheat. But this could make people who want to watch eating a lot of red meat, they can still get their burger, but a more vegetarian side of it, and still get all the same stuff, but without like the problems of eating too much red meat over a long period of time. So, or if you have like a deficiency, if you grew up eating red meat and now for some reason you can't, you have this type of burger that tastes just like red meat, but it's straight veggies.
Now, I did ask the restaurant because one of my vegan friends was asking if it was made with eggs, and they do make it with eggs, and I think she said milk and soy. So it's not a vegan patty, but it is a vegetarian black bean patty, and it was really good. I was so shocked. So I think I'm gonna stick with the veggie frites and the black bean burgers over at Smashburger.
Yeah, my girlfriend's probably gonna try that because she is absolutely in love with the chickpea burger at Grub Burger.
Yeah, they have a good one too. I like the black bean one better. It's a little more meaty for me.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it's a lot stiffer. I mean, the bean itself has more firmness to it, I guess, would be a good word for it.
All right, we are going to take another break, and when we come back, we have more topics with Chef Paul Krato. So come back to us. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
The best tasting radio show in all of South Louisiana. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany Decou, and we've been talking with Executive Chef Paul Krato of Pour Bistro Wine.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, we're going to talk about that right now. You guys changed the name.
We're going to cover this right now.
Yeah, right now.
Okay, so they decided to change the name from De Gaulle Square Bistro and Bar to Pour Bar and Restaurant, which is probably one of the best decisions that has been made since I've come on over there after Jeremy's departure. De Gaulle Square Bistro and Bar is a ridiculously huge mouthful that no one will ever remember it, and it's a silly name, and half the time when you say it, people don't even know what you're talking about, let alone, like, it sounds like gibberish. So they decided to go with Pour rather than Village Cafe, because Village Cafe, it was a restaurant that's come and gone as Jeremy and them, and it's a completely different restaurant from what it was. So they want to start fresh. So Pour, being the old bar that was away from Village Cafe that got connected to it, it's a familiar name. It's short. It's simple. People will remember it.
People still refer to it as Pour anyway.
Well, yeah, and I mean, they still refer to it as Village, and that's the way it is. I mean, Village Cafe was around for so long, and it's made such a staple on the community. They're never going to forget it. But De Gaulle Square Bistro and Bar is a mouthful.
Right. Yeah. So now it's just simply Pour.
Right, and there's going to be a lot of changes that are happening. I mean, obviously, we just kind of remodeled the bar part of the restaurant, but eventually they're going to get to the point where we're in the process of combining the bar and the restaurant as one entity rather than just two separate beings. And eventually it's going to be a full-on remodel of the entire restaurant.
Do y'all still have the little, so you can do the...
Yeah, we're going to still serve the
wine.
wines by the glass. We're going to have all the pneumatic machines that will have all that. None of that's going to change, but what is going to change is we're going to have more space for seating. We're going to open up the restaurant a lot more so it's not a maze walking from the restaurant to the bar or vice versa. But that's just, I mean, it's when the restaurant, when Village Cafe was first created, it was put together in a way it wasn't going to be prepared for what it was going to be in the future.
Right.
Now we're taking steps to fix that, to make it a more efficient restaurant, a nicer restaurant, something to where we can fill up and people still have breathing room. We can be able to take really, really big tops and all this other stuff and have one whole atmosphere versus, oh, well, we like the bar or we just want to go to the restaurant. Well, it'll be one whole thing, and it's going to be a lot better than what it was. It's going to be open. You're going to be able to move around. There definitely won't be a maze to get between the two or the bathrooms.
So one of the new menu items is the charcuterie board that you brought for me to sample.
Yes.
What is on this board that you brought me to try?
On this particular one, it was lardo, duck breast prosciutto, bacon jam, pickled brown mustard seeds, pickled yellow mustard seeds, pork fat butter, bread and butter pickles, and some sweetgrass dairy cheese.
So let's talk about the pork butter.
Pork butter.
What is the process to make this pork butter?
It's actually really easy. And me and one of the guys that I work with, his name's Eduardo, we've been experimenting and like cutting up with the little charcuterie and just doing stuff every day to, build up a huge stock of everything. And we've been reading tons and tons of books, looking at, different boards or fixins, accoutrements across the world. And he was telling me about this guy. He went to this restaurant. I want to say it might have been in Vegas or something. I'm not sure, but their bread service, instead of serving butter, they started serving pork fat butter. So we started looking into that because we thought it would be, a nice addition to the board because we already serve bread with it, cheese and everything. And
right.
And we didn't expect it to be as good as what it was. So when we started doing it, we basically took a bunch of pigskin and fat and threw a bunch of herbs in a pot with like some water and rendered all of that down. Then we strained it, put it in an ice bath, and I just kind of just stirred it a little bit until it cooled off, and it kind of took on the consistency of Vaseline. Like it looked and like felt like Vaseline. It was like this greasy like little blob. Threw that in a KitchenAid mixer and whipped it like as if I was whipping whipped cream, and it trapped in a bunch of air and fluffed it up. Made it super white. It tastes great. It
tastes like butter. It tastes like butter. You have the saltiness of the pork, and you'll get the pork
kind of like
if
butter and bacon had a baby.
Yeah.
But it's spreadable even when it's cold.
And it's low carb.
You can leave it at room temp. It'll be fine. It'll just be a little looser.
Right.
But even if you put it in the fridge for 5 days and not touch it and pull it out, it'll spread like butter. And it's just lovely.
How long does it take the charcuterie to age from start to finish?
That all depends. It depends on what you're doing, the weight of the meat, and that is the most important part of all charcuterie. I mean, anyone who does it will tell you everything. The weight and the time and the salt are probably your most important things. I mean, patience, salt, and just really, really good sourced meats. But depending on the size, what you're doing, you have a green weight. That's what they call it, and that's the weight of whatever you're doing. Let's say if we're doing a ham. The green weight of the ham would be fresh off the pig. You weigh it right there. You would write that down to say if it weighs like 24 pounds. Then you start figuring in like your cure per pound as far as like how much salt you're going to use per pound, other things, how long you're going to let it sit in that salt before you take it out. And all that is played off of like the weight, and they can go from like a day or two to a couple weeks in salt. And then you have your drying process. And in the drying process, it can take from a couple days to years, depending on what you're doing. But when dry cured meats are safely able to be eaten, fully cured, never cooked, it needs to lose at least 30% of its green weight.
Wow.
And that's achieved from the brine. It loses a lot of water, and like you need to pull out all that water. The more water that's out, the drier it's going to be, but it's a less of a chance of bacteria. And like there's a lot of like different factors that go in it. I mean, you can test your pH to see if it's going to taste sour, like really, really salty or kind of tangy. And then it's just going with your gut. You smell it, you look at it. If it smells bad, don't even chance it, throw it out. If you get mold on it, white mold is good, green mold. Depending on what it is, you might be able to salvage it. As far as like use the vinegar, if you got black mold, take it out, throw it away, don't even chance it. If it smells anything less than, like your normal cured meats, it's probably off. If it smells bad, throw it out. If it looks bad, throw it out. It's not something to play with because you're not cooking this stuff for the most part. Botulism is a real deal. It can kill someone. It can get someone extremely sick, even if it doesn't kill them. No one wants that. So if I wouldn't trust it, I would never serve it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the risk that you take. I mean, you're dealing with a way of cooking that has been done for thousands of years for preserving meat. And a lot of it has to do with bacteria and mold and all kinds of other things. And all that is either good or bad. It's just, it takes a lot of time, trial and error. And it's very, very important to be extremely precise with how much of what you're using, how long it's going, what it weighs, how much salt, all these factors mean something. So it's a lot of note taking and adjusting depending on like what you're doing.
What have been some of the other bestsellers with the new menu?
The pork belly sliders, they've been going, the tacos. Oh my God, the tacos.
Oh, tell me about these tacos.
Tacos. Okay, so we're serving like 3 tacos right now. We have a shrimp taco, which has like a little spicy aioli pico and just some lettuce. It's a very, very simple taco, but it's like a shotgun of flavors, and people like really, really enjoy it. Fish tacos, those are just grilled fish tacos. We use mahi, we break that up, spread it between tacos, and we use house-made kimchi and avocado aioli, and those are very, very good. And then we have the brisket tacos. The brisket tacos is a taco version of the brisket sandwich that we serve. We decided to put on a menu because more often than not, a lot of people just like, can I get the brisket sandwich put on tortillas? So we just took that switch out of the equation, just put it on the menu so people can choose. Our brunch is doing very well. Our lunch is actually picking up a lot more, being that, the menu's a lot better than what it used to be. It's a little bit different. The sandwiches we got are really, really, really good. 3-tier club, avocado BLTs, all the burgers and whatnot. Now at night, it all depends. Like we have dry aged ribeyes right now. I've aged them in house for at least 35 days, and those sell like crazy. Our stuffed fish definitely sells. The roasted chicken with the root veg and brown butter, that sells like crazy. The pork tenderloin actually took a nosedive, believe it or not.
Whoa, that was my favorite thing that
I know,
I've
but
eaten there.
nothing's changed with it. But the reason it took a nosedive is just because the rest of the menu is that much better.
Yeah.
We've come a long way since I've taken over, and we found our rhythm, and we're getting better. We're getting busier. We're definitely consistent, which is something that every restaurant struggles with in the beginning, especially if they never had a grace period to close. Like, we're getting consistent, and that is probably the most important thing in any restaurant. Consistency and quality. Without those, you fail.
All right, we are going to take another break, and when we come back, we have more with Executive Chef Paul Krato. So come back to us. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
From Boudin to the best burgers Acadiana has to offer, it's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany Decou, and we have been talking with Executive Chef Paul Krato with Pour. I need to give a shout out to my dad who's listening at my grandmother's house right now, because he has texted me twice during the episode to tell me to give him a shout out. So we got to give Dad a shout out. Shout out to Dad.
The phone's basically vibrating so much it's like it's screaming at me.
Yeah, right. It's pretty bad. I was like, okay, I got to do it, and I kept forgetting. What has been the biggest thing that you have learned since becoming an executive chef?
Definitely the teaching coach mentality whenever you're dealing with like all your workers and all your guys and your staff and everything. A lot more often than not, like people, they'll grow up in restaurants and like they have what they call a hammer, and it's like a guy, whether it's chef or a general manager, owner, or something. It's like this dude who walks in and he's like your guy that'll throw plates, cuss at people, just cut everyone down whenever they mess up, or he just screams at them, or he gets flustered and he's panicked and he just runs around just creating just chaos, and like it makes for like an awkward work environment. And I've always had a teaching coach mentality, but I never really understood how important it was until I stepped into this role. And I mean, you come to a realization that people aren't going to think like you did whenever you were just a line cook and doing all this other stuff. They're not going to do what you were doing because they're not you, and you can't clone yourself several times over and just have like, you know, several copies of yourself doing what you would normally do. So whenever they're doing something, you need to be able to correct them in a way to where like they learn something. You don't just go and cut them down, because while they may learn it and they may remember it, eventually they're going to get tired of it and they're not going to want to work with you.
Right.
So you teach and coach them, and you let them know that, you know, they're going to learn something, and they're still going to learn it, and they're going to take it in a lot better because they're going to get hungry. They're going to want to learn more. They're going to want to, you know, be better. That way you don't ever have to come tell them these little things, or if you're just going to drop some knowledge on them, it's not because they did something wrong. It's because you're helping them. It's more often than not, they'll mess up, but it's because of poor training, or you weren't necessarily clear with what you were talking about in the beginning, because you assume that they know what you're talking about because of the way you've done things in the past. So you kind of learn how to just handle every situation a little differently, and realize, you know, in this role that, you know, I'm in and all the other chefs, we're responsible for these guys. We're preparing them to become chefs themselves if they want to or not. So why not try and teach them everything you can? And a lot of times you'll see people like they don't want to teach them certain things because of, you know, it's your pride and joy recipe, or
Right.
you're never just going to trust them. I mean, why not teach them? What happens if, you know, you're busy and you can't get to something? Rather than being stressed out, you have a capable staff that can do everything that you need them to do efficiently.
That's a good mentality
and I'm
to
saying
have.
it takes time, and you get a pretty good response. I mean, like, I don't really yell at people. I will talk to them. There's a time and a place to yell at people, and I won't even say yell, just speak with them in a stern manner. But they're all people too, and no one's perfect. They're gonna mess up just like I mess up. I mess up every day. It's just I don't get yelled at.
Right.
I feel bad about it, or I'll take it out on myself. But I just kind of think about it like as how if I was like in their shoes, like if someone just straight up just cut me down, I'd probably punch the dude in the face.
Whoa. We don't need that in the kitchen.
Right.
Right.
Sharp knives, dangerous.
So you're going to be teaching a butchering class, is that correct?
Yeah. Paul Ayo contacted me with East Kitchen to do a at-home butchering demonstration type class. Tickets are $30. But again, you're gonna be having like fillets and ribeyes and all kinds of other stuff. And I will be cooking food. But when you first like came at me without, the first thing I thought was like, this dude wants me to break down a whole animal in like his little kitchen. I was like, this is gonna be great. But no, it's not even that. It's just kind of just giving people like a little more in depth on like how to take a whole chunk of meat and break it down into proper steaks. You know, learning about like what's what with all the steaks, and how to like make beautiful tenderloins and all this other stuff that people really take for granted, and they don't understand. Like the more you do yourself, the cheaper it's going to be in the long run. You can go buy a pack of fillets that are already cut, and you're going to pay so much per pound. Let's say
It's so much cheaper.
Let's say that's
to
like
do it that
$15,
way.
$16 a pound. Or you can go buy a tenderloin the same weight, or like that would give you like the same weight in fillets after it's trimmed for $5 or $6 cheaper. And I guess it's just people have become lazy, for lack of a better word, as far as, you know, we're busy. We move around faster, so we never take the time to really break down anything, and that gets away from everyone. And I feel like everyone should know how to do certain things like that. I mean, what if all the stores went out of business, like, you know, and you had to go kill an animal in your field and process it? The majority of the world today would not even know where to begin.
Right. So is the class up on the website yet? Or
I'm not sure. We just talked about it a couple days ago. It's going to be on June. 2 seconds. I'm looking at my phone because I don't even remember the date.
It's going to be in June, but you
It's
can go to the
June 22nd.
June 22nd, and I'll try to post it on the Lafayette Food Junkie.
Yeah, I mean,
Facebook page,
if it's not on his site now, it's going to be like within a day or two.
So we were talking before the show about this article had came out of this guy who had been in a coma, and the first thing that he wanted to eat when he woke back up was Taco Bell. And I posted this question on the Lafayette Food Junkie Facebook page this week. If you were in a coma, what would be the first thing that you would want to eat? Mine would be boudin. What would yours be?
Breakfast. Any and every bit of breakfast. I'd want like the most legit breakfast in the world. I want French toast, waffles, pancakes, like 5 pounds of bacon, sausage, omelets, eggs. I want it all. Like I want to be able to eat myself stupid, like back into a coma.
You want to wake up from a coma to eat all the breakfast
into a coma.
to go back into a coma.
Yeah, and I love breakfast. I never eat breakfast at breakfast time. It's generally, half drunk in the middle of the night. But I love breakfast. Breakfast is probably
one of my favorite meals too.
Well,
That's why I like
foods.
brunch so much. Yeah, breakfast and brunch is where it's at.
I mean, find me something the egg's not good on.
Very true. I feel like if I ever wrote a cookbook, it would be put an egg on it.
Right.
Because I kind of put an egg on everything that I cook.
It's like drop the egg, like drop the mic.
Right. So a lot of the answers that we got were like home cooking things. Someone said menudo because it's probably one bad hangover.
Yeah.
Just different kind of stuff like that. This guy must have really liked Taco Bell. You know what? Sometimes you need Taco Bell. Sometimes you're craving it.
Sometimes, Taco Bell is what the doctor orders, I guess. But I mean, maybe that dude just ate a bunch of bad food, and all he had was like Taco Bell, or maybe he lived like right next to Taco Bell. He didn't have a car and he couldn't go anywhere, and like his store was like 1,000 miles away because he lives in like the middle of like North Dakota or something like that, and all they got is a Taco Bell.
Maybe so. And hot off the presses, Best Stop is about to be available on the Waiter app.
Absolutely.
So this is my worst nightmare, that I'm going to be able to get boudin delivered to my home. Yeah, bad for me.
That's not a bad thing.
It's a very good thing, but it's also a very bad thing.
Like, will they only be delivering like boudin?
No, I think you can get meat. I think you can get meat. It's by the pound. Everything's by the pound. Because they have the menu up. You just can't order off of it yet. But you can get like boudin balls. You can get crackling. You can get uncooked crackling.
It's like, that's all cool. I just don't understand. I don't know how it would work if they did like just straight meat.
I don't think you can get like steaks and stuff.
Well, yeah,
but I think you can
like
do
a
like
roast,
or
even
I think
that,
I saw tasso on it. Maybe it's all like ready made.
Ready, like
stuff.
I'm saying, like it'd probably be like ready made. Because I mean, that stuff. I just feel like the Board of Health would be all over that because like they don't have like cooling boxes or some stuff like that. It must all be
like ready cook kind of ready made stuff.
Yeah. Tasso,
and you guys are about to be on Waiter.
Yeah,
too.
we're in the process of getting set up with Waiter right now. We got our photos put up. We're working out the kinks with our modifiers. We should be ready to go within like a week or two.
I'll be on the lookout for it because Waiter is my boyfriend, so But we're kind of taking a break right now.
It's cool. It's cool.
Everyone
needs a break every now and then.
Taking a break. All right, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Paul. And thank you so much for the charcuterie board that you brought.
No problem. I will bring you more stuff, I promise.
Nice. All right, that's our show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Join us next week, Sunday at 6 p.m. This has been Tiffiany Decou on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. And this has been the Lafayette Food Junkie Show. Thanks for listening. And as always, happy eating, Acadiana.